Hi, Gwen.
Hi.
Total
Anyway, so we're gonna go.
disclaimer. Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you still hear me, Mom?
Yes, I can hear you.
Gwen.
Hi.
Okay.
So weird.
So total disclaimer, Gwen is one of my very first clients, but she's also my mom. And I asked her to do this interview and she reluctantly agreed. And here's the thing. So
Very funny.
so many of you guys, first of all, when you jump on, if you join us live, drop a comment. I see several of you are here, but I can't see who is here until you drop a comment and let me know. So say hello, drop a comment. Tell me if you're watching live or if you're watching a replay. Tell us where you're from. And what we're going to do is spend the next 10 minutes or so talking to Gwen, who, like I said, is my mom, who was one of my very first clients. And I want to tell you that she was completely skeptical when I approached her about becoming a client and letting me help her with losing weight. She told me she could do it on her own. And she tried that for 6 months or so. And then I'm going to let her kind of tell her story, but she ended up becoming a client, and you guys have to hear this because she has some really interesting and insightful and just awesome results from and situations, I guess, and conditions or whatever you want to call it, that I often hear from people, well, I can't because of this, I can't because of that. And Gwen is a perfect example of why all of that is just frankly bullshit, and you can. So I'm going to turn it over to her. Gwen, mom, tell us, first of all, like, where were you? What was the situation when you first decided to join my group, and why?
Well, you had called me months before and told me, "Oh, I can help you lose this weight. I've been doing it. It works." And I was like, "Oh, I can walk and I'll lose weight." And so I said, "Just, let me walk and I'll lose weight." And I started and I tried to stick to the diet and I couldn't. And I walked every day and it used to work for me. I used to be able to walk 4 miles a day and drop weight like crazy. And as long as I kept walking, everything worked out. But that didn't work so swell in my 60s. That worked really great in my 30s. And so when you came to the house one day and you said, "I want you to trust me and I want you to do this." And I had to say yes at that point, even though, how do you tell your daughter no? And so I joined and I was very skeptical. I didn't, I thought, nah, this isn't going to make any difference for me at all. And I was very intimidated. I didn't want to talk on the groups or write anything or say anything to anybody. And so I just kind of sat back and watched. And I was having a lot of problems because I'd had shoulder surgery and I'd been in physical therapy for bursitis in my hip. And to go back even farther, I'd had a brain tumor removed and I was already gaining weight, but then I had gained so much weight that I don't know how much I really weighed, but it was way over 100 pounds over what I weigh today, more like 130 or 40 pounds. But I don't know that for sure because I had one of those scales that you could stand on, and depending on how you shifted your hips, you could make it be 5 pounds less or 10 pounds less. So I really didn't know. So I just did my workout at that time on my bed because I couldn't get up off of the floor. If I got on the floor, I couldn't get up. it was not a, let's just say it just wasn't pretty if I tried to get up. And
Well, let me stop you there and ask you a question, because I remember when we first started and you said, you know, I can't do it. And you were really concerned that, like, you saw what I was doing and you said, I can't do that. And so one of the things that I told you is that I would meet you where you are, right? And I would help you with modifying exercise to get some movement in so that you would be able to do it from where you are. And to be, you know, really honest, so that people know, at the beginning, you were so overweight, like you said, you could not get down on the floor and get up. And I remember talking to you, and literally we started with you laying across your bed with no weights, and me showing you how to just like lift your arms and lift your legs to get that movement started and you got results that way, didn't you?
yes, I did. You know, I mean, I routinely lost 8 pounds a month and tons of inches. You know, and it just every month, I just kept on. I never really hit a plateau way up into the time I lost 80 or 90 pounds. You know, I just kept dropping 8 pounds a month at least.
Yeah. Which, you know, and I know a lot of times people want like a quick fix, you know, that all the stuff that's out there, all the fad diets, and you and I both
I had done them all.
Yeah, we've done them all. And they don't work. You gain it all back. So the idea of losing 8 pounds in a month may not seem like a huge stride for someone who's starting out. But the reality is that when you lose weight at that slow and steady and healthy pace, you actually keep it off. It's actually a change in your life and in your body composition, rather than some kind of like trick for your metabolism that you're going to drop weight fast and then gain it back. And that's one of the problems, just kind of like as a side note, it's one of the real pet peeves that I have with a bunch of the crap diets that are out there now, that are people that and programs that people are selling, you know, to, you know, get this great quick weight loss that people are really super happy about. But the reality is, if you do it in that way, you're going to gain all that back and more. And the older you get, you know, you mentioned you started in my programs when you were in your 60s, and now I'm in my 50s and you're in your 70s. That shit just does not work. You know, it's not sustainable. It puts a strain on your heart. It puts a strain on your organs. It puts a strain on your metabolism. And it can really like jack your system up to the point that it makes it even more difficult for you to be healthy and for you to lose weight. And a lot of times I hear like, you know, well, I'm going through menopause or whatever. You had already been through menopause. I was starting it. And these are ways to lose weight in a sustainable, even though it takes time, but you find that it's sustainable. So for you lost well over 100 pounds. It did start slow, and now you work out every day. So I'll brag on you. She's in her 70s and she works out every single day. She does cardio. She lifts weights. She looks 25, 30 pounds 25, 30 pounds or 30 years younger than she did when she started. But talk to me a little bit about like what it felt like to be, because you mentioned that you were hesitant to kind of engage in the group at first with my program. So talk about like what the process felt like, what it was like to be part of the group, and to go from that sort of hesitant to being like really engaged. What was that process like? What was it like to work in a group with me?
It was something that at first, because I hated exercise. And so, but I knew that if I got on the group, you know, if I got in the group, I had to honestly say I did the workout. And so sometimes I would procrastinate all day. I wouldn't do the workout until 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon because I couldn't post until I did.
But peer pressure can be a good thing, can it?
Yes, it can. And so it's one of those things you just know that, that's what you have to do. And it got where pretty soon I was doing my workout by noon and I was getting to post and I was starting to enjoy the friends that I was making, and we were enjoying sharing recipes and, sharing how we had accomplished something. And, I still have friends on Facebook that, I treasure.
From all over the
Because,
place, right? People you've never.
yeah, exactly. I mean, these are people that I would have never known if it hadn't been for this group. And now I look forward to reading about them. And I feel like I know them as well as I know a lot of people that I've known for 20 years.
I was going to say, don't you say me.
Yeah, I was careful there.
But that's a good point, because I think sometimes people are hesitant to get in a group, and work with me in a program, in an online group, when because they don't like face-to-face know the people. But in fact, a lot of my clients tell me that makes it easier for them, because there is that closeness and friendship that you form in the group, but at the same time, you don't see those people on a day-to-day basis. You don't go to work and have to face them. So it somehow like has this way of making you accountable and growing friendships with people, but also this anonymity that you're not having to publicly share your struggles with people that you see on a day-to-day basis. Is that?
And there's no judge. It's like a no judgment zone.
Yeah.
That is just, you're safe there, that you can say what you're really, struggling with, and everybody will either understand and support you or will say, I feel that way too.
So what would you say if you had to say there was like one or two things about working in a group, in a program with me, that was kind of like what made the difference for you? What do you think that was?
What happened
doing
was,
it on your own and not being able to get the results.
well, it's kind of a head game that you play. I always played the game when it was just me, and I was doing it and I had been successful, but I always gained it back.
Yeah.
I would say, well, I've got to lose 30 pounds and I can lose 5 pounds a week. So in 6 weeks, I'll be 30 pounds lighter. Well, as soon as the first week or two goes by and you haven't lost that goal that you set for yourself, you feel like you failed. So then you gain back more than you lost. And so it's a vicious circle. I didn't get over 100 pounds overweight overnight.
Right.
I did that by going on and off diets. And so, but this time it was different. I was with the group and we were supporting one another. And it was like, it didn't matter anymore if I lost 2 pounds or 5 pounds or 1 pound. And I didn't have an end goal. It became a way I thought about food and the way I thought about doing a workout. It just changed how I feel about myself.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because it really is. That's one of the things that I found myself, and I find with my clients, is that, most people come to me and say, I want to lose weight, which I totally understand. I started that way too. You started that way too. But we come to this place where it's more than about the weight. It's about the confidence. It's about the self-esteem. It's about the energy. It's about like changing your life in all different ways, not just about the number on the scale. So talk to me a little bit about like how that sort of evolution was for you.
I think that really the 6 months before you had asked me to join the group, I've always read, I've got a million diet books. I've read, oh my, a lot. And in one of them, somewhere in there, the author said that once you get over 60, you can't lose weight anymore. You can't, that fat is going to be there. I mean, he didn't say it that way, but that's what I read. I read that I was doomed to be fat forever. And I remember thinking constantly to myself, it's too late for me. I blew it. I didn't even know an answer to fix it. And so, or that I could have done it differently. It was just that I thought that I was going to be old and fat forever, and that that was the way it was going to be. And then when I started losing weight, it changed, my mindset changed. So I wasn't thinking about getting, losing 15 pounds or 30 pounds or 50 pounds, or it was, I just was doing it for me. I was doing it to get healthy. And it changed how I thought about food and my relationship with food. You know, I was thinking about that just the other day, where it used to be that I would crave brownies or cookies. And now I don't even, that's not even, it's not that it's still available, I suppose, but I would rather have a yogurt with strawberries and, you know, I mean, it was just, my taste has changed.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen overnight, but it did happen, you know, and it wasn't easy in the beginning. It takes a lot of discipline and a mindset that this is what you want. And when I realized that it wasn't going to be too late for me, I was going to do it. And that was all there was to it.
Yeah.
You know,
So talk a little bit about now. So, you know, you've kept the weight off and maintained now for what, like 5.5, 6 years?
6 years.
And
6 years. I think last September was 6 years.
yeah, I think so. So you've maintained, and, you know, stayed healthy, and, you know, you're in your
Yeah.
70s now. And talk a little bit about
Well,
like, what is life kind of, I mean, I know you're still in the groups because you just love them. Not that you need
yeah,
them,
I
but
just hang out.
you
Yeah,
still
that's
like
part of
hang
my
out.
day.
You're like one of the groupies. And 'cause, I mean, she could totally do this on her own. She could actually coach if she wanted to. She's phenomenal in the groups and adds all kinds of yummy recipes, and encourages people and supports them. And so, you know, I take advantage of the fact that she's my mom, and that's wonderful because she helps to support everyone else. But talk about like life now. So because you've gone through several different changes. You've had, you know, I mean, you're retired. You are, you guys are making a huge life change in a lot of different ways. But so other than the weight, talk about, because let me like squirrel, but a lot of times I work with women who are still like mid-career, like, or their careers are advancing. And so we do a lot of like, you know, conflict resolution and how to handle work situations and stress. But talk about how that has been a part of your life, even though you're retired and you're not
Yeah.
really like pursuing promoting in a career anymore.
Well, I've often said to you, I wish that I would have had this in my 50s when I was working in a really stressful position where I had a lot of conflict and a lot of problems. And I I would have worked through those better and I would have been better. But now it's, you know, it's still the same thing. There's a lot of times there's a conflict in my home life or even out in, you know, when I'm with, well, before when COVID wasn't around, but even with dealing with COVID, you know, the stress of that and the worrying about, you know, listening to the news and coping with things, I might get sucked into thinking those things for a while, but I realize, no, there's another way of thinking about that. And I have the confidence to say, you know, there's another way to deal with this, you know, and my communication skills are better with everybody that I talk to. And I deal with a lot of um, not negative things, but uh, stressful things. You know, right now, you know, there's just been a lot of ups and downs with a lot of changes that we're making, and it's really been hard. And I think at one point I would have just thrown the towel in and gone and hid. I would have never, I would have or been angry or just not dealt with it. And now I just work through those things.
Yeah. So it's and I think that's important because like I said, a lot of people come to me wanting to lose weight, and once they get into the journey, they realize how much of a change from the inside out it really.
Exactly. So much more confidence.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that I have that confidence to stand up for myself, to talk with people about things and work it out, whatever way I need to. And I'm a different person than I was before.
Yeah. And, I mean, the upside of that too is like, you know how to tell dad you're not going to put up with any bullshit.
I don't really say it like that.
But it's true.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
I have to say that I am super excited, and I'm gonna not get emotional about this, but I remember a time you visiting me when you were, oh gosh, this was before I even started coaching health wise, and you had come to stay for a visit, and our driveway was on a little bit of an incline. We'd gone shopping or somewhere, and getting out of the car, because of your weight and you were having balance issues and there was just a lot of health stuff going on, you fell in our driveway. And I remember that evening telling Roger that I'm scared because mom is acting like grandma.
She's old.
Like, yeah. And it was the first time it was kind of like this realization that hit me, like, you're acting and you're old. And I don't like this realization of like, that means that you might not be here much longer. And it scared me. And I remember saying to you, like, mom, you're acting like grandma. Like I had in my head of grandma at like in her 70s and 80s. And that time you were in your like 50s. And so I'm super proud of you for the work that you've done.
Thank you, honey.
Because I know that I have my mom for many, many more years.
No, you're going to be sorry. But it's true. I go somewhere and I'll see somebody that's maybe not even as old as I am, because I'm 71. And people will say to me, they're just, they don't believe that I am. And I love hearing that. I really do. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to have somebody say, God, you look great.
Yeah.
As long as they don't say, boy, you look great for 71.
Yeah.
There's such a big difference. But at the same time, there's so many times I actually feel bad because I'll see somebody. In fact, I did that the other day. We were in the parking lot and I saw this lady and I knew that she wasn't probably my age. And I said, Jen, you know why I lift weights? Do you know why I do this? And he looked at me and I said, look over there to your left. That's why.
Yep. Yeah. You're never too old. It's never too late. Lifting weights is a way, especially for women and postmenopausal women or going through menopause, especially.
Should be
strength and the bone structures, being able to like make and not to get too much into like the sciencey stuff of it, which I geek out on, but just having the muscle to like be able to perform the daily functions. It's not about like bodybuilding or looking a certain way. It's about,
well, you do look different. You do look different.
Yeah, you totally do look different. But at the same time, it's about, waking up and being able to walk from your bed to the bathroom without taking the first 15 steps to work out all the pain, right? Like being able to bend over and tie your shoes. It's about being able to lift the groceries from the trunk and, into the house. It's like the functional abilities that we have for longer than we would if we did. That's what strength training and health are probably the two most important focuses that I have with my groups, and it's really like just a bonus that you look good. And, I mean, I get on her all the time, you guys, and I'll kind of go into a little tangent here because I know her, but like she buys jeans that are way too big. She wears, she buys a size 8 when she could wear a size 6. And, I have to constantly tell her that, so it's not just about the clothes, but you do look so much better. And when you look so much better, you feel so much better. And the strength that you have is both mentally and physically.
It is. It's just as much mental as it is physical. But
Yeah.
I can remember in my 50s struggling to put a case of water or drinks in my trunk, and that somebody, an older man, would walk by
Yeah.
and say, "Let me help you, ma'am."
And now you can offer to help the men in the
Yeah, no, and I don't get that offer anymore.
Yeah.
But that's okay. But you
Well,
just
Mom,
look different.
I love you. Thank
I
you so
love you
much
too.
for doing this.
You're
You're an,
welcome.
huh?
I said, "You're welcome."
Oh,
Your
well,
your bill will be in the mail.
yeah. Yeah. Put it on my tab.
Oh, yeah.
I love you. I thank you for doing this, and you're such an inspiration to so many different people. And it just goes to show that, like I said, you're never too old, you're never too late. The excuse of menopause and it just,
Yeah.
I'm
If
just
if somebody's read that same book I did that said you can't do it when you're over 60, just go burn that book, because it's not true.
Yeah. And people are asking questions, and I will answer those. But one that I see is, what size did Mom start out when she started?
Well,
We actually don't know, because I could not get her in the beginning to step on a scale. And
well, when I started actually not cheating, stepping on a scale, I weighed 248 pounds.
yeah. So that's the highest we know, but we know that it went higher than that. And I remember going to a seamstress with you to have some clothes made, because you had an event and you couldn't find anything that fit in stores, even in, what do you want to call them, big lady stores, and having to have something made. So we don't know what size that was, but from the time that I could actually get her to start benchmarking and measuring and documenting loss, we know that it's over 120 pounds. And now she wears a size 8 jeans that are too big for her when she buys them in a size
No,
8.
they're really not.
They
Ladies.
So anyway, so she's gone from, like, I don't know what, way over a 20 something size pants, and not being able to buy clothes in a store, to buying clothes off the rack, and probably, a medium top and a size 8 jeans, and looking younger and being stronger than she has in years and years.
Yep.
Love you. Good night. And I
Good
will
night,
talk to you later. Bye.
honey. Bye.